And it's Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services, talking business today at the Card Forum in New Orleans, Louisiana. I have a chance to talk with Michael Marx from Visa. Gave a great presentation, part of a panel on how to create the perfect customer journey. And Mike, you had a lot of good comments, but you said it's a challenge and customers are very demanding and generational. What are the differences in the generations, how people look at customer, what their expectations are?
Sure. There are these generational differences, and starting from oldest to youngest, older consumers like face-to-face or voice-to-voice interactions, and their criteria for good customer service is a criteria that centers on a friendly, personable experience with someone who doesn't transfer them around. It's reasonably quick, but it addresses their question or solves their problem. But younger consumers are looking for a completely different experience. They're not necessarily looking for an immediate answer, but they expect their service provider to provide them with 24/7 availability. That whenever they want a question answered or a problem resolved, they want to be able to address their issuer at that time. And the second thing is, they may not expect an answer right away or resolution right away, but they expect a response right away. And the response doesn't have to be voice-to-voice or face-to-face. 70% of consumers under the age of 35 want to communicate with their family, their friends, the businesses they work with, and their financial institutions via text. So the idea of looking someone in the eye or hearing a soothing voice is not a primary criteria for good customer service for younger consumers today.
And Michael, you mentioned that Visa is such a huge processor of consumer transactions. It gives you a chance to really have some understanding of the trends about how customers are making transactions. And you get an enormous amount of data that you're able to use and gain information from. What are some of the trends you're seeing from that data?
Well, as you said, Visa sees 1 out of every 5 transactions that Americans do. That represents $2.5 trillion worth of transactions and billions of transactions. And the primary trend that we're seeing in the transaction space today is that consumers are moving away, not just younger consumers, but all consumers, from the desire to have and purchase more tangible goods and to purchase more in the areas of things that enhance the quality of their lives, most notably travel and other kinds of experiential purchases that are not tangible good related. That has been a sea change that we've seen starting with the affluent consumer in the late 2000s, and now has enveloped the entire consumer space and is especially strong with younger consumers. As I often say to people I speak with, for a 25-year-old, status is not the car you drive or how big of a house you have, it's how many countries you visited.
Well, listening to the presentations today, I go back to the book Future Shock by Alvin Toffler in the 1970s about the need to be high-tech but high-touch and implementing technology in so many different ways in the card business, but keeping the communication personal and relevant and simple. What are some of the ways that you see banks can keep their technology personal for customers?
Well, the first thing is to not make the assumption that technology is the province of the young. In all of the studies we do, the desire to use technology for payments, technology for person-to-person payments, is as strong among people who are 55 as it is among consumers who are 25. So the first thing is, when you're talking about your initiatives in the technology area, be age inclusive. Do not assume that older consumers are set in their ways in terms of how they want to do things, and that younger consumers will adopt technology just because it's there. Both segments need to be convinced of the efficacy of the technology. But getting back to the point I was making earlier, the good news is that for younger consumers, technology is not depersonalizing. For older consumers, it can be, and it's something that financial institutions need to consider. For younger consumers, technology is enabling. And so consequently, the key in the technological space for all consumers, especially young, is it fast? Is it frictionless? Is it effective? And emphasizing those particular attributes is really a way that you can overcome this fear that we are in this techno world where human interaction is gone and people feel a lack of connection with the environment around them.
Absolutely, and I always like to ask my guests a little bit about their career, some of the steps along the path, and really some of the key changes that you've seen. There's been so much technology added to business in the years of our careers. So, what are some of the steps and trends you've seen?
Well, the steps that I've seen are all based on one overarching principle, and that is everything happens faster. And the expectations that customers have, that in my role at Visa, our clients have, whether they're merchants or they're issuers or acquirers, everything needs to happen faster than it did before. And that's been the primary change. When I started, we used to have the standard 6-week development campaign and development process for advertising, and you'd have this very structured timeline, and it took that amount of time. Today, that doesn't work. Today, things have to happen faster, and that's been the primary change that I have seen since I started working, I have to admit, 43 years ago.
Well, Michael Marx, great to see you and visit today, and for CBSI, it's been a great partnership with Visa for many years, and great to see you here at the Card Forum.
And thank you all very much.
Our pleasure. This is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services at the Card Forum in New Orleans, Louisiana.